Nutrition. Products and treatments discussed are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Make your physician aware of all nutritional supplements used and immediately notify your physician if you have any health concern or undiagnosed sign or symptom. Let's Talk Nutrition is a health talk show that features scientists, authors, nutrition specialists, personal trainers, holistic healers, and experts in traditional, natural, and integrative medicine. Listen for a chance to win daily prizes and follow Let's Talk Nutrition on Facebook and Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition or on Twitter at LTN Radio. It's time for some inspiration. Tune in to get fit and healthy. It's time to talk about nutrition. Nutrition for your body, your mind, your spirit. It's time to talk about proper exercise, stress relief, eating well, and supplementation to help. Get ready to take charge of your health because your health is your wealth and the wealth of those who care about and love you. It's time for Let's Talk Nutrition with Dr. Michael Garko. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. There you go. You got the hat in the picture. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And we'll have a guest showing up here toward the bottom of the hour. And we'll give you the contact numbers to get in touch with the show. And, it's about taking charge of your health. Right? How do you do that? Well, in one way or another, in some form or fashion, around some bend or turn, we eventually get to that on the show. It does just take charge of your health. I will not mention the show. And I listen to other shows because, like musicians, when you're a musician, you go and listen to other musicians. When you're in this business, you go and listen to other shows. There was a health talk show on, and I was sitting there listening, and I said, it was painful. It was painful.
Is it the one we were talking about this the other weekend?
Maybe.
Okay. Yes, it is painful.
I mean, painful. And I'm thinking that was the old model of health talk radio.
They cram it down your throat?
No, it was one of those diagnose and treat kind of shows. Back in the day, that's the paradigm or the model that dominated health talk radio. We try desperately not to do that. No diagnosing and treating. You wouldn't want that. How do you diagnose and treat somebody when you've never even seen a lab on them? You've never, they're not in front of you, don't know who they are. Now, you can talk about generally a condition and how it is approached in the medical community, traditional or non-traditional, different kinds of therapies. But I've had MDs on my show that will not do that. Will not diagnose and treat. And I tell them before going on air, please don't do that because I don't want to get sued. So it was painful in that sense. And it got very tedious. And, I'm an egghead. I'm into the science, and I even found that boring. It got boring. And there's another show that takes a different approach. And I was listening to that show, but it was not a health talk show. Sports talk.
What?
Sports talk. And the host is the guy from Miami.
Oh.
Who's on ESPN. What's his name?
Mike and Mike show?
No. I listened to them, but I was listening. His name will come to me in a moment. I was listening to him because he's so good at it. So I'm constantly trying to grow and change and learn too, along with you in every other way in health and wellness and well-being. Yesterday I got
Jim Rowe?
Rome, no. Yesterday I was talking about this book, and I got some inquiries about it. It was published in 1921. I got it for historical purposes and to help me make an argument that there is not much new under the sun. The title of the book is Studies in Deficiency Disease, and it's by Dr. Robert McCarrison, sometimes known as Sir Robert McCarrison because he was knighted. And the book is scientific in nature, but he was one of the early nutritionists. I mean, this is at the beginning of the 20th century, showing an image of him. And so what we know now about diet and nutrition, where we are now compared to then, is galaxies and galaxies away. But Dr. McCarrison was dialed in. His instincts were good. And he was talking about things then that we still are talking about now. He was concerned about sugar in the diet. And he said, there's never been so much sugar in the diet since in the past 100 years. I said yesterday that he would roll over in his grave if he knew how much added sugar was put in food these days. If I have a moment, I'll find a couple of quotes. In his book, the way he writes is a reflection of the rhetorical and writing style of the time. So sometimes it sounds a little awkward or arcane, but you get the point. If you're really into nutrition and you're into the history of diet and nutrition, this book is, it's one to include in your library. Studies in Deficiency Disease. It's Robert McCarrison. So I have a quiz for the fellas, my producers here today. And Stephen's usually pretty good at this. He's usually in the front row. Gary doesn't do too bad either. Here's the question to set it all up. And it deals with risk factors for cancer. This is a new study, came over the transom. 40% of all cancer cases are related to A, smoking, B, sedentary lifestyle, or C, obesity. 40% of all cancer cases are related to A, smoking, B, sedentary lifestyle, or C, obesity. I'll give Stephen a crack at it first.
I believe I actually saw I didn't delve into the story, but I saw the headline. But I still would have.
Wait.
I still would have guessed what the answer is.
All right, let's go to Gary then. What would you pick?
I would say C, obesity.
Yeah, weight gain, overweight, obesity.
It is.
Et cetera.
Very good, Gary. Very good, Stephen. It's obesity. I thought I could, you always throw in the distractor. I thought you both would reach for smoking. Not.
Well, I was thinking sedentary lifestyle, and that was like my other one because I was thinking you're not exercising, your blood's not moving, it's not getting filtered.
Well, what made you reach for obesity? And why would you have guessed obesity, Stephen?
Excuse me, I was eating something there.
I'm sorry. as we talk about obesity,
yeah.
Put that donut down. Why would you guess obesity?
Well, if you would have asked me the question with no multiple choice, I'm not sure what I would have gone with. But with the multiple choice, out of those three, I would have gone with obesity.
Why?
It's not necessarily because I would draw the correlation, more of just being able to pick the answer out of a few options.
You wouldn't have gone for smoking, huh?
No. Yeah, to me, that's the one. Again, you throw out the what would be the obvious question. You rule that one out, and then you take a 50-50 shot with the other two. Okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously, smoking does cause a lot of cancer. But it just seems that
40%, Stephen.
Yeah,
40%. And seniors, they said, and this is not my language. I wouldn't talk this way. Seniors over the age of 50, as if somehow 50 is some marker for I don't know what, who are overweight or obese, they said in the article, are at high risk of developing certain types of cancers. This is a new report. And what is the tendency of humans as they age? To gain weight. There's a number of reasons for that. Biological, as well as dietary, environmental, and so on. Come back, we'll delve into this a little bit more.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. For those of you who are into racing, Formula One racing, you will notice that I'm wearing a hat with the Ferrari emblem on it. That's for the international audience. My producer, who claims to be a race car enthusiast, didn't pick it up this morning.
I was a little wore out. I went to the gym this morning, Doc.
There you go.
The first time in about a year.
Okay. I went back to the gym. This is my third week back.
Okay.
Since I was diagnosed with cancer. So I'm back. This week is my third. Yesterday was Monday, right?
Right.
That was the third. And I'm back in, and I have the strength of an adolescent.
I got bombarded with questions this morning about people, and I was gonna actually see if I could ask you them. I have a couple of them.
Go ahead.
One, when you go to the gym, do you do cardio first, or do you do it after your weightlifting workout?
I do it after. There's debate about that. This is a good question for those of you who, there are more than a few probably have asked this question. I do it after. The reason why, for me now there's different theories about this, and when you look at the sports science, you will get different opinions. I do it after because I find I do better with it that way. I do the resistance training, do that first, and then the cardiorespiratory. When I try doing and I have done it both ways. When I do the cardio first, I find that my resistance training is not as robust because I'm expending energy. So that's my preference. However, every routine, I train 5 days a week, starts with core. And since I've started back, I've decided that I will spend 20 to 25 minutes on the core, your abs, the core of your body, because of the principle that everything stems from center. If you watch dancers, ballet, jazz, whatever, all movements originate from center. Everything is from center out. And their core, when you look at dancers, their core is usually very formidable and developed. And so operating on that principle. And I'm training a little differently, not as much weight, lighter weight, more reps, more intense. So congratulations, though, to you. I know you had to get up very early to be in the gym at 5 a.m. And if you're doing the exercise to lose weight, change your mind about that.
Okay, so my next question is, empty stomach or something on your stomach?
You should eat something. I would not go into that. You're going to get up at 4:30 in the morning, go into the gym and work out, and you haven't consumed any food. You have no calories, no energy to burn of any consequence. I would eat something, a piece of fruit, something. That's why I don't train in the mornings. I don't do well.
Okay. And then repetitions versus amount of weight.
If you're trying to grow the muscle and make it big, and you want to break it down then, and then that's what weightlifting does. It's a breakdown of the muscle tissue and then rebuilding the muscle tissue. It has been long believed that high repetitions do not grow muscle. There is some current research to dispute that theory. And there's just a study not long ago I reported on where they did high repetitions and they were able to have the muscle grow. Not get real big, but lifting heavy weights will break down the muscle more severely or more formidably. Consequently, you get a bigger effect. You don't need to be doing that.
Okay.
If I were you, I would do high reps, moderate weight, at least 10 repetitions per exercise, and 4 sets. I go 4 for more, not 3 and flee. I do 4 sets per exercise. and I do at least 10 repetitions, try to get to 13 to 15 repetitions with light to moderate weight or moderate weight. And if you don't think, try doing 15 repetitions with moderate weight on any exercise and you'll feel the burn.
What was that you just 4 or what?
4 for more or 3 and flee. And when you do that extra set, it does make a difference. So that's my approach. Now, there are many different theories. Weight loss, exercise is not a good predictor for weight loss. It's not. You will not, if you're expecting to lose weight by exercising, you're going to be very disappointed.
Right.
The way you've lost your 40 pounds is through your diet.
Diet, yes.
You're exercising because you're trying to strengthen yourself physiologically.
Because I got beat down when I went to North Carolina trying to move trees.
You're trying to stay in shape. You're trying to not be flaccid. You're trying to make your muscles more toned, and it makes you look better and it makes you feel better. It's not weight. Exercise is not designed for weight loss unless you're a big swimmer, cross country, triathlete, Olympic. That you'll lose weight then for sure. But the primary way to lose weight is through diet. And spot training doesn't work. You can do 1 million sit-ups. It's not going to make the belly shrink.
No.
It's not. But,
and I would probably have to do 1 million sit-ups with this size.
So if you can train 3 days a week, if you're ever so inclined, you can train with me in the afternoons. My routine's about 2 hours long, so you have to buckle up.
Ugh. 3 hours?
Two
hours.
2 hours.
Wow.
With cardio. So, yeah. But congratulations. I'm glad to see you're back in the gym.
I've been using that all max. Good stuff.
We'll tell them about it. Keep moving. We have a guest. Guess what? We have a guest.
Battling
The foundation of health, wellness, and well-being is diet. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. And you can stop the search and call off the hounds. We found the fountain of youth. We found the tabernacle of longevity, whatever metaphor you want to use. It's a 4-letter word, and it's diet. I'm not the only one who has ever said that. It's been said literally for thousands of years. Whether you look at the father of modern medicine, who said, let food be your medicine and medicine your food, and work your way from the our ancient ancestors, the early, Greek and Romans, all the way forward, if you like. But in 1921, and this is going to get me back to the story that I'm reporting on, about 40% of all cases of cancer are attributed to obesity. Back in 1921, a physician by the name of Dr. Robert McCarrison, Sir Robert McCarrison, was knighted in about 1933. He was born in 18. Check my work, Gary. I can't remember. 18. I can't pull it up in my head. He was born late in the 19th century, moved in, then became a 20th century figure, obviously, and one of the early nutritionists. And in his book, Studies in Deficiency Disease, which is an interesting way to put it, he highlights that principle that I articulated when we came back from messages just a moment ago. And deficiency diseases...
1878.
I was going to say 1870, and I wasn't sure. I was going to say 1887. I had my numbers turned around in my head. He was born in 1878. He died in 1960.
Yes.
Am I right about that?
Ding, ding, ding.
Am I right? Is that right?
Yes.
He was born in 1878 and died in 1960. He was an Irish physician. They made a point about that. Born in Northern Ireland, and spent a lot of his career in India doing experiments and helping and practicing medicine. And I'm so impressed with what he had to say back in 1921 in his book. And it's relevant today. And it pertains to this story today about 40% of all cancers being associated with obesity. And he puts a great deal of emphasis on the gastrointestinal tract, but he also talks about the endocrine organs, the reproductive organs, the thyroid and parathyroid in the book. He moves through all the organ systems. And the book is so dated, if you will, that they don't promise to have every page and every line that he wrote in this particular, what they send to you. But that's okay. I still wanted it. And here's how he defines the term deficiency disease. It refers, quote, to a group of maladies, maladies, the chief causal factor of which is deficiency in the food of certain substances. In other words, deficiency diseases find their genesis and are caused by foods that are deficient in certain nutrients. And how do they get deficient? Or how do they become deficient? 1, because of the way they were grown. 2, the way they were processed. Or 3, and really pertains to today's, but also to Dr. McCarrison's period, the making of processed foods. Now, you have to put this in context. 1921, when a lot of his work was published between 1919, 1921, or 1920, on deficiency disease in the Indian Journal of Medical Research. And in a series of articles that he wrote entitled The Pathogenesis of Deficiency Disease, he also published papers in the British Medical Journal. This guy was a serious scientist, a serious physician. He wasn't a crackpot. You don't get knighted by the king or the queen of England if you're, out there on a perimeter wearing a funny hat. You get my meaning. And he is so concerned. What he saw in India taught him how to eat healthy and what contributed to disease in terms of diet. He saw the good and the bad, apparently. At least it's my interpretation. Here's a quote on page 6 of his book. Quote, "Sugar is consumed in quantities unheard of a century ago. And sugar," he said, "is devoid of vitamins which the cane juice originally contained." He's alluding to the processing of the sugar. He says, "Can it then truly be said that the variety of natural foodstuffs consumed by Europeans protects them from any deficiency of vitamins?" He says, "My own clinical experience justifies no such belief. Rather, it does point in the contrary direction. Nor does it appear to be the experience of the compilers of the 38th report of the Medical Research Council, who wrote, from a consideration of dietaries consumed by poorer classes in the towns of this country, one is led to suggest that no inconsiderable proportion of the population is existing on a food supply more or less deficient in fat-soluble factor, deficient, that is to say, in a vitamin, one of whose cardinal functions is to maintain the natural resistance of the subject against infections." Translation, they wrote funny, didn't it? It's a rhetorical style that's odd. I'll deconstruct that sentence for you when we come back and tell you what he's trying to say, or what that group is trying to say. What's so intriguing to me, even in the late 19th century, early part of the 20th century, people like McCarrison were zeroed in on making the connection between diet and disease. Now, there are certain diseases that will occur notwithstanding your diet. If you get infected with a virus, for example, that causes cancer, you could be eating carrots and plants until they're coming out of your ears. That virus, unless your immune system is of a special kind, you're likely to get cancer or get sick. I'll explain.
Don't be stressed.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Nutritionists have been obviously intrigued with the whole notion of, can a diet insulate you, protect you, or otherwise prevent disease? Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. This, to some, that question the answer to the question or the issue may seem patently obvious. To me, not so much. Because it gets complicated. Dr. Robert McCarrison, in his early 20th century book entitled Studies in Deficiency Disease, points out that deficiency diseases are caused by the absence of certain nutrients in foods that constitute the food culture of a country. Now, how do they become deficient? Well, they could be grown in soil that is not robust in minerals, for example, or improperly grown with bad techniques. They could be processed, or they could be manufactured foods like we have today that are, some call, they're lab foods. They're not really food in the sense like whole foods grown from the ground. Dr. McCarrison explores the question, translating that passage I read to you, which is very difficult to break down and get his meaning. He's asking the question, can a diet, he calls them foodstuffs, can a diet prevent deficiency disease? Is it a guarantee? He doesn't think it's a guarantee. He said that the use of stale foods, a food could be stale. That's another reason why it could be deficient in certain nutrients. And at the time he wrote the book, he said that, quote, the use of stale foods is the rule, fresh foods the exception. There weren't, apparently, in his opinion, fresh foods were not as abundant as they should have been in his period of time. And then he asked, can it then truly be said that the variety of natural foodstuffs consumed by Europeans protects them from any deficiency of vitamins? And he says, quote, my own clinical experience justifies no such belief. In other words, no. Eating that a variety of natural foodstuffs will not necessarily protect people from any deficiency disease because of deficiency of vitamins. Wow. My own clinical experience justifies no such belief. Rather does it point in the contrary direction. Natural foodstuffs. The food could be stale, or it could be too processed, or it could have been improperly grown. But he says natural foodstuffs. This poses an interesting question. He does concede that food, when constituted of the proper nutrients, does confer the protection and the benefit that nature, I'm putting words in his mouth, probably intended it to do. He said the ranks, and I'm quoting him, the ranks of the deficiently fed, that sounds like people today, do not include only infants and young children. They also include those whose food is composed mainly of white bread, margarine, tea, sugar, and jam. Close quote. This is interesting that he's saying this in 1921. White bread, margarine, tea, sugar, and jam. There were certain parts of the population they consumed, that constituted their diet in the main. And he says, even amongst those whose diet is more perfectly balanced, the commoner articles of food as they are prepared for the table are so low in vitamin value that unless they are enriched with the sufficiency of natural foods in the raw state, they are prone to cause ill health and especially gastrointestinal ill health, close quote. What he's saying is that the food was being too processed. And then unless you had raw foods, I could substitute the word whole foods. Raw meaning not cooked. He sees cooking, in many cases, as stripping the nutrients from the food. That's another way food becomes deficient. That's why raw foodists are so adamant about eating food raw. I would contend that certain foods should not be eaten raw. You know, like red meat. And he's saying that you need unless the meal is enriched with a sufficiency of natural foods in the raw state, these people are still prone to ill health, especially gastrointestinal ill health. What he's saying about that time applies to today. The food that's put down on the table in America today is in the main and in large measure constituted of processed foods, highly processed. And there are not enough whole foods and not enough raw foods included in raw foods included in the diet. I wouldn't recommend eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables raw. I would at least steam them. In fact, some foods are better cooked. That makes the nutrients even more bioavailable. This obesity and cancer connection is made. The article says 40% of cancers are caused by obesity. Yes, the obesity is the variable that they focus on. I would move the causal chain back a step, and I would say a cancer-inducing diet, a obesity-inducing diet is what causes the cancer. It's not to say that you have to be obese to get cancer, but they're arguing in this piece, the data that they collected tell them that 40% of cancer is caused by obesity. Obesity is in 90% or whatever, most of it is caused by diet and lifestyle, most of which is attributed to diet. That's why I say on this show, and I will not back off of this until data come in to tell me otherwise, diet is the leading cause of disease and premature death, not only in our country, but globally. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by today. Glad you could tune in, and we're glad that we can tune in with you, into you. And we do that coast to coast and globally. My guest in this hour is Josh. We'll treat him like Cher. We'll just give him a first name, huh? What do you think? No,
Josh Hendrix.
Yeah, no relation to Jimmy, but it's okay. Josh Hendrix will be my guest, and I picked a study just for him today. It's fresh, brand new, and we'll get to it. It deals with anxiety and according to this new piece of research, one way to moderate it. And I want to make you privy or make you aware for your own edification. I use this source all the time. I'm sending it to my producer, Gary, to post it for you on Facebook, and he'll show it up on the screen here in a moment. The Centers for, believe it or not, the federal government does a lot of good things, especially the bureaucrats that work for the CDC and other health agencies. They compile amazing reports. These people are very dedicated and they do good work. Now, there is a publication that is brought to us by our government from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The publication, it's sort of a dark title, but it's entitled Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, MMWR. I use it a lot in my own work and for this show. There is a new report. I recommend that you read it. It's entitled Vital Signs, Trends in Incidence of Cancers Associated with Overweight and Obesity, United States, 2005 to 2014. This report gets at two issues that are critical: cancer and obesity, or overweight and obesity. When you have those two words appearing in the same sentence, that is not a good day for people who are overweight or obese. And in this report, they say, and I quote, 40% of all cancers are related to obesity or overweight. Quote, overweight and obesity are associated with increased risk of at least 13 different types of cancer, close quote. That's a quote. I'm not saying that. That's the federal government saying that. And they're right. That's why I've been on this for the last 7 or 8 years, probably to the annoyance of some. And when I say it's one of the most compelling public health issues of the 21st century, I mean it. And we should be mindful that we have children. There's an epidemic of overweight and obesity among children. These kids are at such risk for heart disease and cancer as they get older. It is frightening. Their future is not good in terms of their health. The odds are not good. This is like asking someone to go into a casino and play with an experienced card dealer who has a marked deck. You're not going to win. This report is worth your time to read, even if you're not overweight or obese, because we are all in this together. And we can no longer stand idly by and let the food culture continue to evolve as it is. There is not enough of an outcry, a public outcry, to push back on these food companies and say, stop making this stuff. It's killing us. And how do I know? Not only from the numbers or the statistics and the studies in our culture, but wherever this food is imported, and it's being imported into other countries, like Okinawa, who used part of Japan, that island, was once claimed to be one of the healthiest on the planet, can no longer. And wherever that food is imported, people begin to develop the chronic diseases that define our culture. I'm not making this up, and my passion for this is off the chain, and I will not relent. We get upset with, and I'm not saying food or drugs, but we're upset, and we've been fighting a war against drugs forever. There's something killing people as well, and causing their quality of life and causing disease and early death, and it's the food that we're eating. And some people, well, you're way off the reservation on this, Dr. Garko. You're way off, and there's no need to be that alarmed. Well, that's your opinion. I've been doing this for a very long time. And this is how I see it. And I'm not alone. And I will speak truth to power, and I don't care if it gets me in trouble or not. The one thing that most people do a lot, the universal thing that's done across this globe every day, is that people are eating several times a day. And if they're doing something several times a day that's unhealthy, how could that ever end up being a good thing? And we see the evidence of it right in front of us. And what's so frustrating to me is that here we are caught up in debates about health care, about insurance, and so on and so on. And it's sort of like the building, we got this 10-alarm fire going on, right? And we're trying to put the fire out with a garden hose. Insurance, healthcare, insurance is not the problem. Health is the problem. More people are living longer and living longer in a state of ill health than at any other time in human history. Again, I'm not making this up. This isn't my opinion. These are facts. And the reason why that's happened is because medical science has been fabulous in keeping people alive. But the way we eat and the way we live has diseased us as a population. We do not see these manifestations of disease and early death and low quality of life in other cultures where they live and eat differently. And I shake my head and say, okay, yes, we need to do clinical trials. We need to do double-blind placebo trials for this. And you don't have to do any trials to prove the point that I'm making. We can go to countries right now, China, Okinawa. We can go to Japan and other places that once were revered for their healthy way of eating and their health, and now are in a lot of trouble because of the way they're eating and the importation of these processed foods that are constituting their food culture. This report is worth your time to read. You'll find it at the Center for Disease. We'll publish it on our Facebook page. Gary has it up there already. The link is given. The title of the report is given. It is worth your time to read. Every responsible citizen of this country needs to read that report and reports like it, because we're all in this together. You may not be overweight or obese, but we are all responsible for what happens in our culture, and we should no longer stand by and let these food companies make this food that's literally killing people.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilo Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
We have a call from Newport Richey. We'll take that in a second, Newport Richey, Florida. And my guest today is Josh Hendrix. He is educated for CV Sciences. And CV Sciences is the makers of CBD oil. And I have a new study, came over to Transom, about anxiety and CBD oil. Josh, I found the study just for you today. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Dr. Garko, how are you?
I'm good, man. You heard my rant. Well, it's not a rant. You heard my commentary on overweight and obesity. If you have any contribution about CBD oil and moderating appetite, let me know. If you want to include that in our conversation today, you certainly I would welcome that if you have some basis to make that. So we'll get into that. Let's take this call, and if you can contribute to the call, we'll give you an opportunity to do that too. Let's go to Newport Richie. Rosemary, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on, Rosemary.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my call. I had a question about the Bragg's vinegar and warm water in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to drink a cup of warm water with 2 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons of the vinegar, and it will help you lose weight and give you energy.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
All right. I will.
We've had this discussion.
I will tell you. I will give you my take. There is a lot of back and forth on the internet about. I'm not just talking about Bragg's. Bragg's makes a good apple cider vinegar product. It's a great product. Nothing wrong with the product. There is that I can find, substantial body of science to support that claim that 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, no matter the brand, with warm water will help you to lose weight. If you think about that, there's other claims that's made about apple cider vinegar as well. But I'll just address this claim. There is no science to support that. Can it? The weight, I've talked about losing weight on this show till I'm blue in the face. And one of the worst ways to lose weight is to go on a weight loss diet, as you hear me say often. And it involves far more than that, and it's going to involve far more than taking 2 tablespoons of Bragg's or apple cider vinegar generally with warm water. I'm not the only person who pushes back on these claims. As a matter of fact, consuming too much apple cider vinegar may not be a good idea either, because it throws off the pH, the potential for hydrogen in the body. And that you have to be careful about that. You don't want that to happen. You don't want the body to become too acidic or too alkaline. So doing too much apple cider vinegar can throw the pH off. Some people use apple cider vinegar for cleansing and whatnot. Okay, fine. If it helps you do that, have at it. Whoever tries that. They talk about mixing apple cider vinegar with maple syrup, and that's supposed to get the job done. Many of these claims being made, Rosemary, and I'm sorry, but there's no evidence to support that. The way to lose weight is the way I talk about it on the show.
I know. I listen to you and stuff. I just wanted to see what your opinion was. But I thank you very much, and I'm going to stop doing it now. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye. Josh, I'm sure in your work you hear a lot of claims about CBD oil too, don't you?
Of course. But, a lot of them are justified now that we're getting more deep into the science of it. And, going back to your earlier comments before the break there, just your comment that we're all in this together.
Yes.
Whether you're obese or overweight or not, is that nothing's truer than that. And you mentioned appetite suppressants. CBD certainly, can help with that. I think, in my personal opinion, that it's, it just makes you feel better, which then in turn makes you not overeat and not do, it almost breaks your unhealthy habits. At least that's my personal experience. A lot of my friends.
Yeah.
Kind of workout.
That's anecdotal evidence, and it proves your sense of well-being, and hence,
right? Because
a lot of people will overeat because they're not feeling good about themselves. They're a little depressed, and food becomes a means of it becomes like medication, and people treat it that way and begin to overeat and gain weight. And I get your point. There's a study that's trending this morning. And when I saw that you were going to be on the show today, I pulled it. And people can get a hold of the abstract on it. And the headline on the story was, "Can CBD oil help anxiety? What you need to know." Before I report on that study, what's your take on CBD oil derived from hemp and anxiety? What's your take?
Well, the first point you made is a good point to make. It, for legal status and all of that, it needs to be derived from hemp. There's CBD products out there that are derived from cannabis, medical cannabis, recreational cannabis. Your gummy bears and different kind of cannabis type products. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a nutritional supplement derived from hemp. And when you talk about anxiety, I think it goes back to that. Everybody wants to feel better. Everybody has their own health goal, and balancing your endocannabinoid system is, what I've learned in the past 2 years is first and foremost. And once you do that, everything else seems to, be balanced as well. I always say you don't want to fly too high and you don't want to fly too low. You're trying to find that groove. And so doing that with hemp-derived CBD oil is certainly the first step to that. Now, I give away a lot of CBD here in Kentucky. We go to all these shows that you're at and different things, and people, I have friends that say, I would have never gone to the doctor. I would have checked 0 out of 10 on anxiety level. And then I started taking plus CBD oil, and I've never felt more comfortable in my own skin. Those type of comments.
Okay. Well, we're headed into some messages, but this small study found that cannabidiol from hemp reduced symptoms of social anxiety in people with social anxiety disorder. Come back, I'll tell you more.
Are you suffering from those awful...
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilla Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Science is beginning to develop, showing a relationship between the use of cannabidiol as derived CBD oil, as derived from hemp, and reduction in social anxiety. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. If you go to our Facebook page at letstalknutrition.com, Gary posted the abstract or the press release for this report on cannabidiol, CBD oil from hemp, and reduction in anxiety. And several studies are listed in this report, one in 2011, one in 2014, one in 2015, one in 2016, all pointing to the relationship between cannabidiol, CBD oil from hemp, and a reduction of symptoms associated with anxiety, in one study, post-traumatic stress syndrome. My guest is Josh Hendrix from CV Sciences. So there is a corpus of work being developed to show that cannabidiol from hemp it does help reduce social anxiety and social anxiety disorder generally. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to PubMed.gov and type in CBD or cannabidiol, I think they're up to over 1,600 studies now that have been done, and that's just, in the last year and a half, that number's grown over 1,000.
Yep.
So all of that's coming down the pipeline, and you're starting to, the word of mouth and the excitement behind it, it's all starting to that momentum's all starting to go. We're seeing a huge explosion, and especially in the Bible Belt. I mean, Indiana is one of our hottest states right now. Some of that has to do with the press and the law enforcement, misinformation stuff and some press that went on there. But in general, those are the people that are looking for non-psychoactive, holistic approaches to, their daily life. And, we always say everybody wants to feel better. And hopefully CBD can help balance the system that balances you.
Absolutely. That's right. Your endocannabinoid system, as I have mentioned in my anatomy class, human anatomy and physiology, the word endocannabinoid never appeared in the textbook, and it was that textbook was published in 2016. We looked at the fresh edition of it, and endocannabinoid does not appear in that textbook and many other leading anatomy and physiology textbooks, which is astounding to me, given that since the 90s, we've known about the endocannabinoid. It's been reported on in the literature, the endocannabinoid system. It is the homeostatic. It is the thermostat for all the other systems in the body. That's one metaphor you could use, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know if you saw this week that WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, removed phytocannabinoids off of the banned substances. So,
good.
Olympians, boxers, all those different MMA, all the people that go by the WADA standards, it's no longer listed as performance-enhancing drug because I think they're realizing that it's natural and something that your body creates on its own.
It is performance enhancing. It enhances the performance of daily living. How about that?
I was going to say, I agree with you. I was more surprised by that than anything. But again, all of these steps that we're seeing in the legislation, I'm going back to D.C. in a couple of weeks, it's coming down the pipeline. It's just all legitimizing this. I mean, CV Sciences plus CBD oils in almost 1,400 stores across the country now. We were fifth in SPINS data last week in the natural products category. That's insane, considering where we were 2 years ago.
I know.
The industry in general.
Well, that's because the general public understands the benefit. They don't need a clinical trial to tell them, although it may give them some comfort when they hear me and others report on the science to support it. But from their own experiences, they know that it helps them. It helps with moderation of anxiety. There is now some work to show that it moderates pain levels, that it's conferring these different health benefits. People are figuring it out, and it has nothing to do with marijuana at all. This is from hemp, and it's, and its landscape is changing. But let me ask you, you said you alluded to going to Washington. With whom are you going to speak, and what is if I may, I ask your purpose for going there. I know you're not going there to look at monuments.
No, I get to D.C. A handful of times a year with the U.S. Hemp Roundtable, which we're a founding member of, that I'm on the board of directors for. And it's about a 25 different organizations or businesses, the leading people in the hemp space in America here. A lot of the CBD companies, a lot of the main a couple fiber companies, a couple food companies.
Any politicians show up for the meeting? Invite anybody?
The point of the roundtable is to lobby. We're the largest and most successful lobbying group for the hemp industry. So my meetings are with Senator McConnell, Senator Paul, Congressman Comer, who has just introduced the 2017 Hemp Farming Act. I'm from Kentucky, so a lot of my meetings are in Kentucky, Indiana.
So that's why you're meeting with those senators, not necessarily because you're a Republican. I want to take the politics out of it. You're meeting with them because they are senators for your state. If it was the ghost from Christmas Past, you would meet. If it were the ghost from Christmas Past, you would meet with him or her too, right?
Oh yeah, and I don't agree with any of those politicians on everything, but the one thing we all agree on is that hemp is an agricultural crop. It needs to be legalized. We're the only industrialized nation that doesn't grow it commercially.
Well, why do we import it? Why do we import it by the metric ton if it's illegal to grow?
Well, the 2004 HIA versus DEA ruling, which David Bronner from Dr. Bronner's Magic Soaps was a big part of. We owe him a major debt of gratitude for allowing that, but at the same time, the farming aspect of it was left out, and so that's what we're working on now. And everybody wants a one-shot deal, but that's just, if you've ever seen Schoolhouse Rock, it's not as easy as that. That's
exactly.
Not how a deal becomes the law.
Did the farmers in Kentucky want to grow hemp?
Oh yeah, we're growing about 3,000 acres this year. I grew a couple acres on my farm for the third year in a row. I'm actually staring at a trailer with about 5,000 pounds of hemp on the back of it right now. So, we're getting after it, but it's still, there's still so much hesitation on investments and input costs because we don't know what's going to happen or how long it's going to take before this whole commercial market's opened up and you can start getting more investors and more banking and stuff like that involved.
Once you get the banks, insurance companies, and other social and financial institutions comfortable, it'll open up. Do the farmers in Kentucky, you know more about this than I will ever know, do the farmers in Kentucky embrace the idea of being given the opportunity to grow hemp so that they can contribute to their attempt to make a good living?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got some of the largest farmers in the country, let alone Kentucky, that are interested in this because they need another alternative. They need another arrow in their quiver. I mean, it's not all just because it's a gold rush and people think they're going to get rich growing hemp.
But it just makes good sense. We'll come back. We'll talk some more with Josh.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilla Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. I was talking about this new study taking a look at the relationship between obesity and cancer. What percent of cancers are attributed to obesity? Would it be 20%, 40%, or 60%? Here's the number to call. You want a $25 supplement gift card with the right answer.
877-897-8255. 877-897-8255.
And Josh Hendrix is my guest today. Josh, welcome back. If you just give me a moment, let's deal with this. I want to round it off with you a little bit. Then something I need to mention to the audience. What is on the mind of CV Sciences right now in its effort to educate the public, to legitimate the use of CBD oil for health purposes, and to make it available to the general public? Those three goals, what is CV Sciences trying to do to make that happen, generally?
I would say, we're trying to deep dive into how we work with our natural products stores. It took me a while to understand that side of the business, not being from the natural products industry, but now that I understand, this is where these things live and breathe, almost like organisms that are getting bigger, that are getting bigger by the day. So trying to drive new people to those natural product stores as opposed to trying to create a new market space seems to be at least my focus, and I know our marketing team's focus, and really, letting the natural products industry benefit from this boom that's about to happen, this resurgence of the hemp plant, not only for CBD, but also for the food side of it. I mean, very healthy food products are being made. My buddy down in Louisville with Victory Hemp Foods, making phenomenal products, working on isolated hemp protein that they outdo whey.
See, that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. We're able to make hemp protein, hemp-related products that people can eat, can consume. It's hemp. CBD oil is from hemp. I mean, I don't understand. If you're using hemp to make food products that people eat, what is the...
I'm with you. Hey, I'm right there with you.
CBD oil is from hemp. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think hemp. I'm with you. I think hemp-derived CBD as well as hemp-derived food products, whether it's hemp seed oil, people making salad dressings and all that kind of stuff with it.
Exactly.
Hemp heart and all that stuff. That's going to change the way we look at our diets. I mean, it's going to hopefully replace soy in terms of food fillers, which are just terrible right now. But then you add in the CBD as a nutritional supplement for your full body balance and health. Yeah. And you're talking about a really, healthy lifestyle. Yeah. My good friend here in Lexington, Andy Rouse, has a company called Think Hempy Thoughts, and that's kind of what we're trying to steer people nowadays.
Yeah, and when they go to the health store, what should people ask for with CV Sciences?
Yeah, so it's Plus CBD oil, PLUS CBD oil, and there's a variation of products. We have our raw, our green, and our gold line.
Yeah, the gold line is the creme de la creme, and it's called.
Yeah, our gold soft gels are a game changer. I think.
Absolutely, Plus CBD oil. Let's go to Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Big audience up there. Lila, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. Let me give you a hint about your answer. It's not as much as you think, and not as less than you think. It might be somewhere in the middle.
So the point is, if I had thought something else, can I change my mind?
Yeah, you can change your mind. It's not as much as you think, but it's not really. It's not as severely less either. But so it's somewhere in the middle.
The numbers.
So it's 20%, 40%, 20%, 40%, or 60%.
Okay.
It's not as.
I'm gonna go for good luck. How about 40?
Congratulations! You won a $25 supplement gift card. Good for you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Lila.
Your show is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're wonderful. Josh, thank you so much for being on. And Plus CBD oil sold in how many? 1,400 health food stores throughout the U.S.?
Yeah, and growing by the day.
Okay, before I sign off today, I wanted to mention, didn't want to make a big deal about it. A year ago today, October the 5th at 5 o'clock, I was told I had cancer. And then a few days later, I was told, after a PET scan, that I had 2 forms of cancer. I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma of the cervical lymph nodes caused by HPV-16. And then I had adenocarcinoma lung cancer stage 1A. That was a year ago today. I've been fighting that battle and finished treatment just about a month ago. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I'm able to be here on the air thanks to my doctors who saved my life, and thanks to you who gave me the inspiration to come in here to work every day and do this show. I only missed 5 days because it was too much toward the end. The treatment was severe, and I missed 3 or 4 days because of when they did the surgery on my lung. So out of 1 year, I missed about 9 days of work, 10 days of work. That was it. And I came to work because I found inspiration in you and all your kind words and all of your heartfelt, how can I put it, messages to me. And it's a privilege and to be here at this moment and to thank you. So it's 1 year today. 1 year today. It was at 5 o'clock. I'll never forget it when my doctor looked at me and said, I think you have cancer. I still can't believe it. And to be here at this moment I just can't tell you how great it feels. And so we're now moving into a new phase, and I am grateful, and we'll see whatever the future holds. And I take it one moment at a time, one day at a time, one show at a time with you. And I live for this show. And I live to do my best to educate others and empower others to achieve good health, to create it, sustain it, and if necessary, like I've had to do, reclaim it. So again, thank you. And I want to thank my producers, Stephen and Gary, for their kindness and for their support. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.